The city buzzed with energy, its streets alive with the hum of cars and chatter of people rushing to their destinations. Towering skyscrapers loomed over everything, their glass facades reflecting the pale light of an overcast sky. Somewhere, in this concrete jungle, Jasmine Crockett sat at her desk staring blankly at her computer screen. Her fingers hovered above the keyboard but didn't move. For weeks now, she had been chasing leads on a story that promised to shake things up, but so far all she had were whispers and fragments of information. Jasmine wasn't just any journalist. She was known for digging deep where others feared to tread. Her sharp tongue and relentless pursuit of truth made her both admired and despised in equal measure. But today, even her usual confidence seemed shaken. Something about this case felt different, bigger, more dangerous, and yet she couldn't let it go. Her phone buzzed loudly on the desk, snapping her out of her thoughts. It was a text message from an unknown number. The words were simple. "If you want answers, meet me at Joe's Cafe tonight at 8 p.m. Come alone." There was no signature, no explanation, just those few lines, typed in plain black font against a white background. Jasmine stared at the screen for a moment before setting the phone down. Whoever this person was, they clearly knew something, or at least claimed to. By evening, Jasmine found herself walking into Joe's Cafe, a small, unassuming place tucked away in one of the quieter neighborhoods. The air smelled faintly of coffee beans and burnt toast. A few patrons sat scattered around, nursing cups of tea or flipping through newspapers. At a corner table near the back, a man sat alone, his face partially hidden by the dim lighting. He looked up as Jasmine approached. "Are you Jasmine?" he asked quietly, his voice low and cautious. She nodded, sliding into the seat across from him. "And you are?" "Kash Patel," he said, leaning forward slightly. His eyes darted around the room as if checking for eavesdroppers. "I've got something you'll want to see." Jasmine raised an eyebrow. "Something tells me this isn't going to be another dead end." Kash hesitated for a moment before pulling out a thin folder from his bag. Inside were documents, some printed, others handwritten, and a flash drive. He pushed them toward her without saying a word. Jasmine picked up the top sheet and scanned it quickly. Her heart skipped a beat. These weren't random notes. They were detailed records of illegal transactions, secret meetings, and names of powerful individuals implicated in shady dealings. This is huge," she murmured, looking up at Kash. "Where did you get this?" "I work for someone high up," Kash replied cryptically. "Let's just say I have access to places most people don't. But listen carefully, I'm putting my neck on the line here. If anyone finds out I gave you this, we're both done for." Jasmine frowned. "You're telling me you stole classified documents?" "I prefer to think of it as exposing corruption," Kash shot back. "But yeah, pretty much. You wanted the truth? Well, here it is. What you do with it is up to you." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Jasmine flipped through the pages, again absorbing every detail. Names jumped out at her, senators, CEOs, bureaucrats, all connected by threads of deceit and greed. This wasn't just some minor scandal. It was a web spanning across industries and governments. If handled right, this could blow open decades of lies. But there was also danger lurking behind every word. People who committed crimes like these wouldn't hesitate to silence anyone threatening to expose them. Still, Jasmine couldn't ignore the opportunity staring her in the face. This was why she became a journalist, to uncover truths buried under layers of deception. "What happens next?" she finally asked, meeting Kash's gaze. He leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. "You publish it, but not all at once. Start small, build momentum. Make sure you protect yourself too. Once this hits the airwaves, there's no turning back." Jasmine nodded thoughtfully. "All right, I'll need some time to verify everything. Cross-check sources." "No," Kash interrupted sharply. "Time is the one thing we don't have. They already know I've taken these files. It won't take long for them to figure out who I might have given them to. Trust me. You act fast, or not at all." The urgency in his tone sent a chill down Jasmine's spine. She glanced around, the cafe again, suddenly aware of how exposed they were. Anyone could be watching. For all she knew, someone was already onto them. "Fine," she said after a pause. "I'll do it. But if this goes sideways, I'm blaming you." A ghost of a smile crossed Kash's lips. "Fair enough. Just remember, one wrong move and we're both finished." They parted ways shortly afterward, each heading in opposite directions. As Jasmine walked back to her apartment, her mind raced with possibilities. How would she present such explosive material? Who could she trust to help her? And most importantly, how far was she willing to go to ensure the truth came out? Back home, Jasmine spread the documents across her dining table, poring over them late into the night. Every page confirmed what Kash had hinted at. The scale of corruption was staggering. Yet amidst the overwhelming evidence, one name kept appearing repeatedly: Senator Alan Brooks. Known for his charming demeanor and progressive policies, Brooks was a beloved public figure. But according to the documents, he was also deeply entangled in illicit activities. Jasmine felt a mix of excitement and dread. Breaking a story like this would cement her legacy as a fearless reporter, but it could also destroy her career or worse. Still, she couldn't back down now, not when the stakes were this high. Over the next few days, Jasmine worked tirelessly to piece together a coherent narrative from the chaotic mess of data. She reached out discreet pieces of information to trusted colleagues, hinting at a major investigation underway. Some dismissed her hints as hype, while others grew curious. By the time she scheduled a live broadcast, anticipation was building, steadily. On the day of the show, nerves prickled beneath Jasmine's calm exterior. Backstage, producers buzzed around her, adjusting microphones and running last-minute checks. The studio lights burned brightly overhead, casting harsh shadows across the set. As the countdown began, Jasmine took a deep breath, reminding herself why she was doing this. When the camera rolled, she started speaking with practiced ease, introducing the segment as a groundbreaking exposé without revealing too many specifics up front. Viewers tuned in eagerly, unaware of the storm about to break loose. Little did anyone know this broadcast would change lives forever, including Jasmine's own. As the minutes ticked by, Jasmine delved deeper into the documents, naming names and detailing criminal acts. Gasps echoed through living rooms nationwide, as ordinary citizens realized the extent of betrayal within their own government. Social media platforms lit up instantly, flooded with reactions ranging from outrage to disbelief. But then, chaos erupted. Armed agents stormed the studio, shouting orders and cutting off the feed mid-sentence. Panic rippled through the audience as confusion reigned supreme. Jasmine stood frozen for a split second before anger surged within her. She shouted protests, refusing to back down even as hands gripped her arms tightly. In that moment, reality shifted irrevocably. What began as a quest for truth had transformed into a fight for survival, a battle Jasmine never imagined fighting. But as fear mingled with determination, she vowed silently to see this through, no matter the cost. The van screeched to a halt in an abandoned parking lot on the outskirts of the city. Jasmine's hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, her knuckles white from the strain. Lisa sat beside her, clutching the laptop like it was her only lifeline. Neither of them spoke as they stared at the empty space ahead, their minds replaying the chaos they'd just escaped. The explosion still echoed in their ears, and Eric's sacrifice weighed heavily on both of them. Jasmine finally broke the silence. "We can't stop," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. "They'll be coming for us again." Lisa nodded slowly, her face pale and drawn. "Where do we even go now? We're running out of places to hide." Jasmine didn't answer. Right away. She glanced at the map on her phone, searching for somewhere, anywhere that might offer temporary safety. Then she remembered Kash Patel's message about a rendezvous point. It was a long shot, but they had no other options left. "There's a place," Jasmine said finally. "It's risky, but we don't have a choice. Kash is meeting us there." Lisa frowned. "Kash? You think he's still alive?" "He sent me a message," Jasmine replied. He wouldn't risk contacting us if he wasn't sure it was safe. Safe? Lisa snapped, her voice rising. Nothing about this is safe. We've been running nonstop, barely surviving, and now you want to trust some guy who got us into this mess in the first place? He gave us the truth. Jasmine shot back, her tone sharp. Without him, none of this would have come to light. If we don't finish what we started, then everything, Eric's sacrifice, all of it, will mean nothing. Lisa opened her mouth to argue, but stopped herself. She could see the fire in Jasmine's eyes, the stubborn determination that refused to give up. Sighing, she leaned back in her seat. Fine. Let's hope your whistleblower friend knows what he's doing. Kash Patel waited anxiously at the designated meeting spot, an old warehouse tucked deep in an industrial zone. He paced back and forth, glancing over his shoulder every few seconds. The area was eerily quiet, save for the distant hum of machinery and the occasional creak of rusted metal. His nerves were frayed, and every sound made him jump. When the van finally pulled up outside, Kash rushed toward it, relief washing over him as he saw Jasmine step out. But his expression darkened when he noticed Lisa behind her, and the absence of Eric. "Where's Thompson?" Kash asked immediately, his voice tense. Jasmine hesitated, pain flickering across her face. He didn't make it. They cornered us and he stayed behind to cover our escape. Kash closed his eyes briefly, guilt gnawing at him. Another casualty in a war he had helped start. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "This is my fault." "No," Jasmine said firmly, cutting him off. "Don't you dare take all the blame. This isn't just your fight anymore. It's ours. Now tell us where we stand." Kash nodded, pulling himself together. "All right. Listen carefully. I've been monitoring their movements. They're scrambling right now, trying to figure out where you are. But they'll regroup soon, and when they do, they'll hit hard. We need to stay ahead of them." "What's the plan?" Lisa interjected, her arms crossed defensively. Kash gestured for them to follow him inside the warehouse. Boxes and crates were scattered around, creating makeshift hiding spots. In the center of the room, a table held a laptop and several documents. Kash began explaining their next move. "We release everything online," he said. "Every single document, every piece of evidence. Once it's out there, they won't be able to stop it. Public outrage will force them to act, or at least buy us enough time to expose more." "And how exactly do we pull that off without getting caught?" Lisa demanded. "They're already tracking us." "That's why we use a distributed network," Kash explained. "No central server, no single point of failure. Even if they shut down one upload, others will keep going. I've set it up already. All we need to do is trigger it." Jasmine studied him closely. "You've thought this through." "As much as I can," Kash admitted. "But timing is critical. We need to coordinate the release with a major event, something that'll draw maximum attention." "The gala," Jasmine said suddenly. Her eyes lit up as the idea took shape. "Senator Brooks is hosting a fundraiser gala tomorrow night. All the key players will be there. If we strike while they're distracted, it's perfect," Kash agreed, nodding. "We infiltrate the event, plant the devices, and broadcast live. By the time they realize what's happening, it'll be too late." Lisa groaned. "Infiltrate? Seriously? You two are insane." "It's the only way," Jasmine insisted. "If we can get inside, we can ensure the truth reaches everyone directly. No filters, no censorship." After a brief argument, Lisa reluctantly agreed to help. Over the next several hours, the trio worked tirelessly to prepare for the operation. Kash fine-tuned the software, encrypting the data and setting up multiple fail-safes. Jasmine devised a cover story to gain entry to the gala, using stolen credentials and disguises. Lisa focused on hacking security systems, ensuring they could bypass any surveillance at the venue. By dawn, they were ready, but exhaustion was taking its toll. Dark circles shadowed their eyes, and tempers flared easily. Still, they pushed forward, knowing failure wasn't an option. The following evening, Jasmine stood in front of a mirror adjusting her sleek black dress. Her reflection looked calm, almost serene, but inside, she was a storm of nerves. Beside her, Kash handed her a small device disguised as a brooch. "This contains the trigger," he said quietly. "Once you're inside, find a private terminal or access point. Plug it in, and the system will handle the rest." "What about you?" Jasmine asked. "I'll be nearby," Kash replied, ready to assist if anything goes wrong. "And me?" Lisa chimed in, fiddling with her earpiece. "How am I supposed to hack into their servers without being detected?" "You won't," Kash said bluntly. "Your job is to monitor their response and create diversions if needed. Keep them busy while Jasmine does her part." Lisa rolled her eyes but didn't argue. Instead, she double-checked her equipment one last time before giving Jasmine a thumbs up. "Good luck. Don't screw this up." With a deep breath, Jasmine stepped out of the safe house and into the waiting car. As she approached the gala venue, a sprawling estate adorned with glittering lights and luxurious decorations, her heart pounded in her chest. This was it. One chance to change everything. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with elegance and arrogance. Politicians, CEOs, and socialites mingled freely, their laughter masking the corruption beneath. Jasmine moved through the crowd with practiced ease, smiling politely and exchanging pleasantries. No one suspected a thing. She found an empty office tucked away in a quiet corner of the mansion. Slipping inside, she closed the door behind her and quickly connected the device to a computer terminal. The screen flickered as the program activated, uploading files at lightning speed. Outside, Lisa worked her magic, triggering false alarms and glitches to distract security teams. Just as Jasmine finished, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Panicking, she hid behind the desk, holding her breath as the door creaked open. A man entered, muttering something about a malfunctioning system. Before he could investigate further, Kash appeared unexpectedly, knocking him unconscious with a swift blow to the head. "Let's go," Kash whispered urgently, helping Jasmine to her feet. They slipped out unnoticed, rejoining Lisa outside. Together they watched from a distance as the gala erupted into chaos. Screens throughout the venue displayed damning evidence of corruption, shocking guests and sending panic rippling through the crowd. Senator Brooks, caught off guard, tried to deny the allegations, but the damage was done. As sirens wailed in the background, Jasmine felt a mix of triumph and sorrow. They had succeeded in exposing the truth, but at great cost. Eric was gone, and the road ahead promised even greater challenges. "We did it," Lisa murmured, breaking the silence. "Now what?" Jasmine looked at her companions, gratitude and resolve shining in her eyes. "Now we keep fighting. For Eric. For everyone who deserves justice." Somewhere in the shadows, Agent Ryan Dawson observed the scene, his jaw clenched in frustration. The battle wasn't over, not by a long shot. But for now, Jasmine Crockett and her allies had struck a powerful blow against those who sought to silence them. The live broadcast had barely begun when chaos erupted. Jasmine Crockett's voice rang out clearly as she introduced the segment, her tone calm but charged with purpose. "Tonight," she said, looking directly into the camera, "we uncover the truth behind decades of lies. What you're about to hear will shock you, but it's time we held those in power accountable." As she started reading from the documents Kash Patel had given her, the studio grew eerily quiet except for the sound of her steady voice. Names were named: senators, corporate leaders, even members of law enforcement, all implicated in a sprawling web of corruption. Viewers at home leaned closer to their screens, disbelief morphing into anger as the gravity of the revelations sank in. Social media exploded almost instantly. Hashtags like #OnJasmineExposed and #OursTruthMatters began trending worldwide. Supporters hailed her bravery, calling her a hero for standing up to powerful figures. But not everyone was pleased. Comment sections filled with accusations of lies and slander, while phone lines at the station buzzed nonstop with calls demanding retractions or threatening lawsuits. The backlash was swift and fierce. Midway through the broadcast, just as Jasmine revealed a particularly damning piece of evidence involving Senator Alan Brooks, the studio doors burst open. Armed agents stormed in, shouting orders to cut the feed immediately. Cameras wobbled as technicians scrambled to comply, their faces pale with fear. The red light on the main camera flickered off, plunging the set into sudden silence. "What are you doing?" Jasmine demanded, stepping away from her desk. Her microphone picked up her voice as she confronted the intruders. "This is a live broadcast. You can't just shut us down." One of the agents stepped forward, his expression cold and unyielding. "We're acting on orders of national security," he barked. "Step aside, Ms. Crockett, or face immediate arrest." Jasmine froze, her mind racing. Arrest? For telling the truth. She glanced around, searching for support, but everyone in the room avoided her gaze. Even her producer, usually so confident, seemed to shrink under the weight of the situation. With no allies left, Jasmine realized she was utterly alone. "You think silencing me will make this go away?" she snapped, her voice trembling with a mix of rage and desperation. "People already know. You've lost control of the narrative." The agent didn't respond. Instead, he signaled to his team, who moved in quickly to restrain her. Hands grabbed, her arms roughly, pulling her toward the exit. As she struggled, Jasmine caught sight of the studio monitor still displaying the now black screen. For a brief moment, she wondered how many people were watching right now, witnessing her being dragged away like a criminal. Outside the studio, the scene was equally chaotic. News vans lined the streets, reporters shouting questions as Jasmine was escorted to an unmarked car. Flashbulbs popped, capturing her defiant glare for the world to see. She clenched her fists, refusing to show weakness despite the fear gnawing at her insides. Back inside the station, producers scrambled to issue a vague statement claiming technical difficulties had interrupted the broadcast. But the damage was done. Video clips of Jasmine's expose had already gone viral online, spreading faster than anyone could contain them. Social media users shared screenshots of the documents she'd referenced, piecing together fragments of the story themselves. Conspiracy theories flourished alongside genuine outrage, fueling a firestorm that refused to die down. Meanwhile, Kash Patel watched the events unfold from his tiny apartment, pacing nervously as he clutched his phone. He had expected fallout, but not this quickly. The moment the agents stormed the studio, he knew they would come for him next. He had seconds, maybe minutes, to act. Kash grabbed a backpack and stuffed it with essentials. Cash, fake IDs, encrypted devices, and a change of clothes. His hands shook as he worked, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He thought of Jasmine, wondering if she was okay. Had they hurt her? Locked her up somewhere? Or worse? Before leaving, Kash sent a single encrypted message to a trusted contact. "They're coming for me. If anything happens, release everything." Then he powered off his phone, knowing it could be traced. Stepping outside, he blended into the crowd, keeping his head low as he made his way to a safe house he'd prepared months ago. Hours later, Kash's fears proved justified. A team of operatives arrived at his apartment, only to find it empty. They ransacked the place, searching for any trace of the stolen documents, but Kash had been careful. There was nothing left behind to tie him to the leak. While Kash went underground, Jasmine faced her own ordeal. Taken to a secure facility, she was interrogated relentlessly by officials demanding to know where she'd obtained the documents. At first, she refused to answer, insisting she had acted in the public interest. But as hours turned into days, the pressure mounted. "Tell us who gave you these files." Agent Ryan Dawson growled during one particularly intense session. A tall man with sharp features and icy blue eyes, Dawson specialized in breaking suspects. His reputation preceded him, and Jasmine knew better than to underestimate him. "I don't know what you're talking about," she lied, her voice steady, despite the knot of anxiety tightening in her chest. "I got the information legally. Check your sources." Dawson slammed his fist on the table, startling her. "Don't play dumb with me, Crockett. We know someone leaked classified material to you. Give us a name, and maybe, just maybe, we'll go easy on you." Jasmine stared back at him, her jaw clenched. She wouldn't betray Kash. Not yet. Not until she understood the full scope of what they were dealing with. Besides, Kash had risked everything to get her the truth. Turning him over now felt like a betrayal of everything she stood for. As the interrogation dragged on, Jasmine's resolve hardened. Whatever happened next, she vowed to fight back. She wasn't just a journalist anymore. She was a symbol, a lightning rod for all those tired of living under a system rigged against them. And symbols, she realized, couldn't afford to break. Outside the facility, public outrage continued to build. Protesters gathered outside government buildings, holding signs that read, "Free Jasmine and expose the truth." Online petitions calling for justice gained millions of signatures overnight. Celebrities and activists joined the chorus, amplifying Jasmine's message to global audiences. Even mainstream media outlets, initially hesitant to cover the story due to legal concerns, began running segments questioning the legality of Jasmine's arrest. Legal experts debated whether the First Amendment protected whistleblowers like Kash and journalists like Jasmine. The tide was turning, slowly but surely. But behind closed doors, powerful figures plotted their next move. Senator Alan Brooks, whose name had been splashed across headlines thanks to Jasmine's broadcast, convened an emergency meeting with key allies. In a dimly lit conference room, they discussed strategies to discredit Jasmine and bury the scandal once and for all. "We need to paint her as unstable," Brooks suggested, tapping a pen against the table. "Make people think she fabricated the whole thing. That way, even if the documents surface, no one will believe them." His advisors nodded in agreement, scribbling notes furiously. One of them raised a hand hesitantly. "What about Kash Patel? Shouldn't we focus on finding him too?" Brooks smirked. "Oh, we will. But let's deal with the loudmouth first. Once we silence her, the rest falls into place." Unaware of these machinations, Jasmine remained locked in her cell, plotting her escape. She had always been resourceful, and confinement only sharpened her instincts. Every detail mattered: the timing of guard rotations, the weak spots in the facility's layout, the subtle cracks in her captor's confidence. She bided her time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When that moment came, it arrived unexpectedly. During a routine transfer between rooms, one of the guards slipped, dropping his keys momentarily. Jasmine seized the opportunity, grabbing the keys and making a run for it. Alarms blared as she sprinted down corridors, dodging obstacles and ignoring shouts behind her. Adrenaline surged through her veins, propelling her forward. Finally, she burst through a side door and emerged into the cool night air. Freedom tasted sweet but fleeting. She knew the chase wasn't over, not by a long shot. But for now, she was free. And that meant she could keep fighting. Somewhere else in the city, Kash Patel monitored news updates from his hideout, relieved to learn Jasmine had escaped. Though separated, their fates remained intertwined. Together, they carried the weight of a truth too dangerous to ignore, and neither was ready to give up just yet. The aftermath of the gala left the city in turmoil. Screens across the nation displayed the explosive evidence Jasmine and her team had released, forcing millions to confront uncomfortable truths about their leaders. Social media erupted with outrage, hashtags like "expose them all" and "justice for Jasmine" spreading faster than wildfire. Protesters flooded the streets, demanding accountability from those implicated in the scandal. For a brief moment, it seemed as though the world had united under one cause: the pursuit of truth. But amidst the public fury, powerful forces worked tirelessly behind closed doors to contain the fallout. Senator Alan Brooks, once untouchable, found himself at the center of a media storm. His polished image crumbled under the weight of accusations, yet he wasn't ready to surrender. In secret meetings with his allies, Brooks plotted his counterattack. "We need to discredit her," Brooks growled, pacing the room. "Make people question whether she's telling the truth or just stirring up trouble for attention." His advisors nodded, scribbling notes furiously. One suggested planting fake stories online to cast doubt on Jasmine's credibility. Another proposed framing Kash Patel as a disgruntled ex-employee seeking revenge. The plan took shape quickly, fueled by desperation and fear. Meanwhile, Jasmine, Kash, and Lisa regrouped in a safe house miles away from the chaos. Exhaustion clung to them like a second skin, but there was no time to rest. They knew the fight was far from over. They'll try to spin this, Jasmine said, her voice steady despite the fatigue in her eyes. They'll twist everything until people start doubting us. Let them try, Lisa replied, cracking her knuckles. I can handle whatever garbage they throw our way. If they fake news, I'll expose it twice as fast. Kash leaned forward, his expression grim. It's not just about discrediting us. They'll come after us personally. Harder this time. We need to stay ahead of them. Jasmine nodded. Then we keep pushing. Every piece of evidence we have, every connection we uncover, we use it. We don't give them a chance to recover. Over the next few days, the trio launched a relentless campaign to keep the pressure on. Lisa hacked into government databases, leaking additional documents that corroborated their initial exposé. Kash coordinated with anonymous sources within agencies, gathering insider information that painted an even darker picture of corruption. And Jasmine became the face of the movement, appearing in underground broadcasts to rally supporters and call for protests. Public opinion shifted dramatically. Trust in traditional institutions plummeted as citizens demanded transparency and reform. Even mainstream media outlets, initially hesitant to cover the story, began airing segments questioning the integrity of those involved. The tide was turning, but so was the danger. Agent Ryan Dawson led the charge against them, determined to silence Jasmine and her allies once and for all. Armed with new warrants and advanced surveillance tools, his team tracked their movements with surgical precision. It wasn't long before they discovered the safe house. One evening, as Jasmine reviewed files at the kitchen table, Lisa suddenly froze, her fingers hovering above her keyboard. "We've got company," she whispered urgently. On her screen, security cameras showed black SUVs pulling up outside. "Go!" Kash shouted, grabbing a duffel bag filled with essential gear. Jasmine stuffed flash drives into her pocket while Lisa grabbed her laptop. Within seconds, they were out the back, Tory sprinting through alleys as shouts echoed behind them. The chase was brutal. Agents fired warning shots, forcing the trio to zigzag through narrow streets and abandoned buildings. At one point, Kash tripped and fell, twisting his ankle badly. Jasmine hesitated, torn between staying with him and continuing the escape. "I'm slowing you down," Kash panted, waving her off. "Keep going, I'll hold them off." "No," Jasmine snapped, pulling him to his feet. "We're not leaving anyone behind." With Lisa covering their rear, they managed to evade capture, for now. But Kash's injury slowed them considerably, making it clear they couldn't keep running forever. Desperate for refuge, they sought shelter in an old church on the outskirts of town. Father Michael, a kind-hearted priest who had helped fugitives before, welcomed them without asking questions. He offered food, medical supplies, and a place to rest while they regrouped. "This isn't sustainable," Kash admitted later that night, wincing as he adjusted the makeshift bandage around his ankle. "Sooner or later, they'll catch up. To us. Not if we strike first," Jasmine countered. Her mind raced with possibilities. Brooks is hosting another press conference tomorrow morning, trying to save face. What if we crash it? Lisa raised an eyebrow. "You mean walk straight into enemy territory? Are you insane?" "It's risky, yes," Jasmine acknowledged. "But think about it. If we confront him directly, force him to answer for his crimes, in front of everyone, we might finally break him." Kash hesitated, then nodded slowly. "It could work, but only if we're smart about it." The next morning, Jasmine disguised herself as a reporter, blending seamlessly into the crowd gathered outside Brooks's office. Kash and Lisa stayed hidden nearby, ready to intervene if things went south. As Brooks stepped onto the podium, flanked by bodyguards and aides, Jasmine pushed her way to the front. "Senator Brooks," she called out, raising her hand. When he acknowledged her reluctantly, she pressed forward. "How do you respond to allegations that you orchestrated illegal transactions worth billions? Or that you've been funneling taxpayer money into offshore accounts?" The room fell silent. Brooks's face turned red with anger, but he recovered quickly, attempting to brush her off as a conspiracy theorist. That's when Lisa hacked into the live feed, projecting damning evidence onto screens across the country. "You can deny it all you want," Jasmine said, her voice ringing loud and clear. "But the truth speaks for itself." Pandemics of rage swept through the audience. Reporters bombarded Brooks with questions, while protesters outside chanted for justice. Security guards tried to drag Jasmine away, but Kash and Lisa intervened, creating enough chaos for her to slip free. By the end of the day, Brooks's political career lay in ruins. Investigations were launched, arrests made, and reforms promised. Yet Jasmine knew the fight wasn't truly over. Corruption ran deep, and rooting it out completely would take years, if not decades. As the dust settled, Jasmine stood atop a hill overlooking the city, watching as protests continued below. Kash joined her, leaning heavily on a cane. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. "We keep fighting," Jasmine replied, her gaze unwavering. "For Eric, for everyone who's suffered because of lies like these, this isn't the end. It's just the beginning." And with that, they walked away together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Though battered and bruised, they carried the fire of rebellion in their hearts, a spark that refused to be extinguished. Jasmine Crockett stumbled into the shadows of an alleyway, her chest heaving as she tried to catch her breath. The cold night air stung her lungs, but it was a small price to pay for freedom. For now, at least, she was out of their grasp. Her escape from the facility had been chaotic, a blur of alarms, shouts, and adrenaline. But she knew better than to celebrate too soon. They would be looking for her, and they wouldn't stop until they found her. She pulled her hood tighter around, her face trying to blend into the darkness. Every step felt like walking on thin ice. She needed help, someone she could trust, but who? Most of her contacts were either too scared or too compromised to assist her. Then it hit her. Lisa Morgan, a tech-savvy hacker with a reputation for being unpredictable. Lisa had helped Jasmine on smaller investigations in the past. She might not be thrilled about getting involved in something this big, but Jasmine didn't have many options left. Using a disposable phone she'd grabbed during her escape, Jasmine sent Lisa a coded message. "Need your skills. Meet me at the old bookstore on 5th Street. Midnight." It wasn't much, but if Lisa understood the urgency, she'd show up. Across town, Kash Patel sat hunched over a laptop in his safe house, his eyes scanning news feeds and encrypted chat rooms. He hadn't slept in days, jumping at every sound outside his door. The weight of what he'd done pressed heavily on him. He had exposed some of the most powerful people in the country, and now they were coming for him, and anyone else connected to the leak. Kash's phone buzzed, startling him. It was an alert from one of his monitoring programs, a spike in activity linked to government surveillance systems. Someone was tracking down leads, narrowing in on potential sources. His heart sank. They were closing in faster than he'd anticipated. He needed to act quickly before they traced his location. He opened another encrypted channel and typed a message to a trusted ally. "Burn everything. I'm going dark." Then he powered off the laptop and shoved it into a duffel bag along with a few other essentials. Kash couldn't afford to stay in one place for long. He needed to keep moving, staying one step ahead of those hunting him. As he prepared to leave, his thoughts drifted to Jasmine. Was she okay? Had she managed to escape? Kash clenched his fists. He had dragged her into this mess, and now she was paying the price. If anything happened to her, he'd never forgive himself. But there was no time to dwell on guilt, not when survival was all that mattered. Lisa Morgan arrived at the old bookstore 10 minutes early, her hands stuffed into the pockets of her oversized hoodie. She scanned the area cautiously, her sharp eyes picking up every detail. When she spotted Jasmine slipping through the shadows toward her, she let out a low whistle. "Well, well," Lisa said, crossing her arms. "Look who decided to play James Bond." "Save the jokes," Jasmine replied, glancing around nervously. "I need your help, Lisa. This is serious." Lisa raised an eyebrow. "When isn't it with you? What's so important that you're skulking around like a fugitive?" Jasmine hesitated for a moment before pulling out a flash drive. It's evidence of corruption at the highest levels. Names, transactions, everything. But if they catch me, they'll destroy it. And me." Lisa took the flash drive, turning it over in her fingers. "You're talking about people who don't mess around, Jazz. These aren't petty criminals, they're untouchables." I know, Jasmine said firmly. But we can't let them win. Not this time. Lisa sighed, running a hand through her messy hair. All right, fine, but you owe me big time for this. What do you need me to do? Two things, Jasmine said. First, I need you to secure this data somewhere they'll never find it. Second, I need you to dig deeper, find connections, patterns, anything that can strengthen our case. Lisa nodded slowly. Consider it done. But you should know, hiding isn't going to solve your problems forever. Sooner or later, you'll have to face them. I know, Jasmine admitted. But for now, staying alive is priority number one. The next morning, Eric Thompson woke up to a knock on his door. A former soldier turned private investigator, Eric lived a quiet life these days, taking on odd jobs to make ends meet. He wasn't used to visitors, especially not at dawn. Grabbing a baseball bat just in case, he cracked open the door. Standing outside was Jasmine, looking exhausted but determined. Eric blinked in surprise. Jasmine? What the hell are you doing here? I need your help, she said without preamble. Things have gotten complicated. Eric stepped aside, letting her in. As she explained the situation, his expression grew darker. By the time she finished, he was pacing the room, muttering under his breath. You've really stepped in it this time, he said finally. These aren't people you can take on alone. You're going to need backup. That's why I came to you, Jasmine replied. You've got experience dealing with dangerous situations. I need someone who knows how to handle themselves. Eric stopped pacing and looked at her. And what happens when they come after us too? Because they will, Jazz. You realize that, right? Jasmine met his gaze steadily. Then we fight back. Together. After a long pause, Eric nodded. All right, count me in. But we're doing this my way. No reckless moves, no unnecessary risks. Deal, Jasmine said, relief washing over her. For the first time in days, she felt like she wasn't entirely on her own. Over the next few days, the trio worked tirelessly to piece together a plan. Lisa analyzed the data, uncovering new links between corrupt officials and shadowy organizations. Eric mapped out potential safe houses and escape routes, while Jasmine coordinated their efforts, keeping everyone focused on the bigger picture. But tensions began to rise as paranoia set in. Lisa grew increasingly erratic, snapping at the smallest things. One night after hours of fruitless searching, she slammed her laptop shut and stood up abruptly. This isn't working, she shouted. We're wasting our time chasing ghosts. They're always one step ahead of us. We're close, Jasmine insisted, though doubt gnawed at her insides. We just need more time. And what if we don't have it? Lisa shot back. What if they find us first? Have you thought about that? Before Jasmine could respond, Eric stepped in. Enough. Arguing isn't going to help. We stick to the plan, or we walk away. Those are the only options. Lisa glared at him but didn't argue further. Instead, she stormed off to cool down, leaving Jasmine and Eric to regroup. She's right about one thing, Eric said quietly. Time isn't on our side. We need to move faster. I know, Jasmine said, rubbing her temples, but rushing could get us killed. We have to be smart about this. As the days passed, cracks began forming within the group. Trust, once strong, started to erode under the constant pressure. Each member wrestled with their own fears and doubts, wondering if they were fighting a losing battle. Then came the betrayal. Late one evening, as Jasmine reviewed Lisa's latest findings, her phone buzzed with an incoming message. It was from an unknown number. They know where you are. Leave now. Her blood ran cold. How had they been found? She alerted Eric and Lisa immediately, and together they scrambled to pack up and relocate. But as they exited the building, agents swarmed the area, cutting off their escape routes. Gunfire erupted, shattering the stillness of the night. In the chaos that followed, Jasmine realized the truth. Someone had leaked their location. Whether intentionally or accidentally, one of them had betrayed the group. And now, surrounded by enemies, they had no choice but to fight, or die trying. Jasmine ducked behind a car as bullets whizzed past her head. Beside her, Eric returned, fire, his military training kicking in. Lisa crouched nearby, clutching her laptop like a lifeline. Fear gripped them all, but beneath it lay a fierce determination to survive. "Get to the van," Eric yelled, gesturing toward a parked vehicle, a block away. "I'll cover you." Jasmine hesitated, torn between gratitude and guilt. "Are you sure?" "Go," he barked, firing another round. With Lisa close behind, Jasmine sprinted toward the van, dodging debris and praying they'd make it out alive. Behind them, Eric held his ground, buying them precious seconds. Just as they reached the van, a deafening explosion rocked the street, sending shockwaves rippling through the air. Jasmine spun around, searching for Eric amidst the smoke and flames. But he was gone. Tears streamed down her face as she climbed into the driver's seat, slamming the accelerator to the floor. They had survived, for now. But the cost had been high, and the road ahead promised even greater danger. Somewhere far away, Kash Patel received a garbled transmission from an anonymous source. "Jasmine's alive. Barely. Meet her at the rendezvous point." His hands trembled as he processed the message. The game wasn't over yet. Not for any of them.